Lamine Yamal steps into McDonald's, looks left, sees Pulisic, looks right, sees Jimenez. Gives a nod to Ronaldinho in the corner with a FIFA World Cup meal. Ronaldinho sees Son in the booth. Son finds Beckham going for extra Big Mac sauce. He's got Davies at the table just behind him. Davies going for his collectible cup. Oh, no! A steal by Henry, who pulls his own collectible cup. Collect one of 9 legendary cups with a FIFA World Cup meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last. All rights reserved. 2026 McDonald's at FIFA World Cup 2026.
Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Oh, let's go! Let's go!
Not quite able to bring it under control. Sano's broken that up in the middle of the field and carries on with his run. Sano has scored for Japan! Well, what do you know about this? Gabriel, yet another cross, and this time it's the equaliser. Down that right-hand side. Cut back and not taken advantage of it. Tanaka's given the ball away there. Bruno Guimaraes. Oh, and here's a chance. Martinelli! Brazil have won it! They've stolen it right at the death! Brazil are going through!
Voltamama! It's saved by Hill again! It's a no! Here he comes! And there it goes! Babuena! He's missed as well! This is extraordinary! Tar has blazed it over! Few have been in this position for Paraguay. But he scores! Paraguay have done it!
Veghorst top corner.
And he scores!
And he pulls it wide. Hits the post. Saved. Yes.
Live from New York. It's a show that's filled with upsets. It's the first hour of First Things First. One non-upset. What do you mean?
There were 3 games yesterday. One favorite, one
Barely.
in relative.
I mean, kind of lucky, but
Barely.
They got through.
It's their latest winning goal in the history of the program and the country.
They certainly didn't have as tough of a time as the other 2 favorites yesterday.
Yeah, but they were in third.
They certainly did.
First hour, First Things First today. After a somewhat impressive win, do we think Brazil can now win it all? Meanwhile, LeBron to the Warriors, the coolest move he can make, or just a leverage play? Oh, man. And finally, voice of the World Cup, Darren Fletcher joins the show. A starring role in yesterday's program. And he'll be with us today as well, alongside Chris Broussard. I'm Kevin Wildes. Nick Wright, who has some ideas.
I have some great ideas for Darren Fletcher. I can't wait to talk to him. I also am watching that Mbappe get gifted that goal. He didn't get near the who were they playing? I don't even remember when France scored that goal.
I think Qatar.
Didn't get nearly the venom for the win. Haiti was giving up goals to my beloved Brazilian team.
He keeps scoring. That helps too. We're starting today's show in Boston. Germany is going home. Despite controlling the game, the German team missed 3 penalties, and Paraguay pulled off the 4th largest upset in knockout stage history. Germany was FIFA ranked 10. Paraguay was 41. Here was Havertz after the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Shock probably is a good word. It's hard to find words after something like this because we came here with a goal in our head, and especially also after the last couple of tournaments had big goals, and I thought we were in a good way. And then to go out like this is not easy.
Okay, Brew, what was your biggest takeaway from Germany being upset?
Well, my first thought was they are what I thought they were. All right, now I told you guys last week when Nick was saying they could compete for the championship, I said, give me the U.S., give me Portugal over Germany.
On the tier.
And here they are gone. They're no longer one of those top-tier powers. Their head coach said it after the game, right? Like the previous two World Cups, they didn't even get to the knockout round.
Correct.
This one, they get bounced by, I mean, shout out to Paraguay, but they were one of the last teams to qualify for the round of 32. So this is a huge upset. And my second thought, Wilds, was this is both a warning and motivation for Team USA.
Okay.
A warning in that don't take anybody lightly. And I'm not saying, I mean, maybe Germany did take them lightly. They didn't play well, obviously. But don't take anybody lightly. Anything can happen in this tournament. That's the warning. You got Bosnia. You're supposed to beat them handily, but don't take it lightly.
Germany was a much bigger favorite over Paraguay than we are over Bosnia.
Yeah.
Just for whatever it's worth.
And we blasted Paraguay, so don't let this get you big-headed and like, oh, wow, Germany lost to the team we took out easily. Secondly, the motivation, same thing. Anything can happen. Just what Pochettino's been telling you. Why not us? If Paraguay can beat Germany, why can't the U.S. beat
Spain
anybody in this or anybody in this tournament?
We got to stay locked in.
I know it sounds
collectively,
huge.
we all need to stay locked in.
I'm just saying, I'm not predicting they will. I'm just saying this shows you that you could lose to anybody, but you could beat anybody. So you have to stay locked in to your point. And so, yeah, I think it's good for the U.S. And they can learn some lessons for this, and shame on Germany.
You know I'm beloved around the world, right?
You are. We have someone visiting the show this week from Singapore just to meet you.
Excellent.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
All the way from Singapore. Longest flight in the world,
That's
19
amazing.
hours to meet Kevin Wiles.
So I'm beloved around the world.
Great.
At the same time, some of my World Cup takes putting a little stress on my international treasure title.
International treasure.
International treasure.
I didn't that's well
Just
done.
because I'm out here
national
tweeting,
treasure.
hey, Germany, this is when before their goal was disallowed. I wrote Germany had got their second goal at minute 102. We scored our second goal in minute 31, and we won 4-1. Little transitive property, little bit of common opponent. I think it is very fair to say, hold on, how good is Team USA? If Paraguay looked pretty good, they just beat Germany. Be honest with you, we crushed Paraguay. Before we talked about the journey, how high do you think I am allowed? Do you think it's unfair? And we know all the, transitive property, common opponents are. Raiders beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but something.
But I think it does speak to our view of Paraguay was colored massively by our probably subconscious view of the U.S. team, which is, I think we went into this tournament feeling like, hey, the U.S. team is definitely solid, hopefully good. And when the U.S. team dominated an opponent like that, yes, it improved our opinion of the U.S. team, but I think subconsciously or consciously we were like, and that team must be awful.
And that was the
prevailing wisdom.
Yes.
Correct. And then you see them. Now listen, Paraguay got, I thought, outplayed yesterday, but not outplayed enough to where it wasn't within the margins. You know what I mean? And so I didn't feel like Paraguay dominated Germany, but they were able, to make some big saves. They didn't, they got a little fortunate on the call, but they showed they could hang with them for 120 minutes, and then the penalty kicks become a bit of a coin flip. And then you dig a little deeper into, while we got into it a bit yesterday because I don't care as much about friendlies as some, I do care a lot about your path in qualifying. Because in qualifying, in theory, you're playing as many of your best guys as you can. To qualify for the World Cup, Paraguay beat Brazil. They beat Argentina. They beat Uruguay. They had a draw with Colombia. They had a draw with Ecuador. Now, they also lost to a few of those teams along the route to qualification. It wasn't like a single elimination. But my point is, they have played a number of games over the last 18 months or so in the lead up to the World Cup against some of all those teams are still Turkey beat them Turkey soundly. But I was just listing teams all that are still in the tournament.
Yeah.
And now Germany, and they've beaten them. So I do think it is fair, KW, to say if your 1 to 100 confidence in the U.S. going into yesterday's game was an 82, that now it's an 85. Or, I mean, I don't know if you, again. Higher? Do you want to go further before I do a Germany
just
thing?
the one other thing that makes me a little bit nervous about our game against Bosnia Herzegovina is the fact that some teams go into these games thinking, let's get it to penalties.
Oh, yeah.
So here was Germany versus Paraguay by the numbers. Germany had possession for 76% of this game. It's the third highest by any team in a knockout game since '66.
This is the
21 shots to 7 expected goals. I mean, they literally had one taken off the board. In your opponent's half, 522 passes to 76. Paraguay's just going to sit back like, hey, let's just put up a wall and hope we can get to penalties, and it worked out. Japan didn't do something. We'll get to Japan. Didn't do something similar against Brazil when they were like holding on to the.
But it's also why the U.S.'s ability to score early is so critical.
Yeah, that's
Paraguay
true.
wouldn't have been able to do that had Germany scored early.
Yeah,
Like that's how those things can change. Instead, Paraguay had a lead going into the half. I do for 60 seconds here. I have to say something about Germany because for the entirety of the history of the World Cup, up until a decade ago, and maybe still, but two teams have levitated above the tournament, Brazil and Germany. Yep. As of 2014, they had 4 championships, and the rest of Europe combined, post-World War II, had 4 championships. From the end of World War II until 2014, and I put this in tweet form, so I'll just go through it. I'll explain it quickly. There were 16 World Cups from 54 to 14. Germany won 4, came in second 4 times, lost in the semis 4 times, and lost in the quarterfinals 4 times. A loss in the quarterfinals was a catastrophe. It was the worst they had done.
Sure.
Since then, they got grouped, and then they lost pre-round of 16, which used to mean you got grouped. It is incomprehensible what has happened to the German soccer team over the last 3 World Cups. KW, they had they had played in a final every decade from 1950 until the 2020s, and that's now snapped. So I'm not smart enough to figure out, what's gone wrong, how much is bad luck, bad managing, I don't know. But it is insane what has happened to this, arguably the second greatest soccer nation in world history.
All right, the Paraguay faces the winner of France-Sweden, which is happening today at 5 o'clock on Fox. All right, we'll head to Houston, where Brazil scores their latest game-winning goal in the team's World Cup history. Martinelli subbed on in the 65th minute, wins it 40 minutes later. Brazil moves on. Japan goes home. Nick, you predicted a 2-1 win. That would leave me unimpressed. That was an excellent call. Are you more confident in Brazil after their comeback victory?
Absolutely. I thought they were more than shaky for the 10, 15 minutes after the hydration break. I thought they dominated the first 15 minutes of the game, and then right after the hydration break, they didn't play well at all, and it looked like Japan, once they got that goal, Japan might be able to just sit there and dare them to score. But then in that second half, Brazil could have scored 4 times.
Yeah.
And this is now a 4th straight game where teams have not scored a single goal against Brazil's what I'll call set defense. Like if you look, they've allowed 2 goals this tournament. Both have been on their own mistakes on passes at midfield. And I'm going to mix metaphors here, but I would call kind of breakaways. Now, again, that can get you beat, but that is not what you haven't seen. I mean, that's how Japan scored. And if we show the Morocco goal, and you're going to see it's a very similar circumstance.
Yeah, it's playing out of the midfield.
Yeah, playing out of the midfield and go and score. No one has scored or even come close to scoring outside of those 2 plays. And the box score stats that you just showed are even more dramatic in this regard for this game. Not quite the possession. The expected goals 2.1 to 0.3. Big chances 5-0. Shots 19-5. Shots on target 7-2. Touches in opponent's box 35-10. You then add to it, KW, that I think as the tournament progresses, and I said this is not, Monday morning quarterbacking or revisionist history. I said it when it happened. That Morocco tie is going to look better and better as this tournament goes on. I think Morocco has a very real chance of being in the semifinals again, like it was last World Cup. And then you also have the reminder that, in my opinion, they have a guy on their team who might be the best player in the world. He might be. For as much as we talk about Mbappe,
he's a good player.
He's very good. I wouldn't go that.
This is what I'll say. He and Mbappe play on the same team. He has finished top 2 Ballon d'Or. Mbappe hasn't. He was the FIFA Men's Player of the Year in 2024, not Mbappe. He has not performed at the World Cup like Mbappe. Mbappe's a World Cup legend, and he has...
Mbappe doesn't have a Ballon d'Or?
No. Dembele does, but Mbappe's best Ballon d'Or finish is 3rd. He finished 2nd 2 years ago, and you saw this play from him that didn't result in a goal, but this was as good as any play from any player in the tournament that's not a goal, I guess. I mean, it was, and I believe they'll have Rafinha coming back, and they said after the game, hey, if we needed Neymar, they were ready to go with him. So all of that, plus the fact that they might have the greatest manager in the history of the sport on the sideline, fully calm, I don't know after watching yesterday how you could not be more confident. But I was correct on my score prediction. Was I correct on my don't play the video because KW said it? Was I correct on my other prediction that Brazil would win 2-1 and you would be out here unimpressed?
I wasn't overly impressed.
I knew you were going to do this.
With Brazil. When you need a goal in the 105th minute.
Well, that wasn't the 105th, but that's fine.
But
95th at most. It couldn't have been. It didn't go to extra time.
Oh, okay. The 95th minute. I didn't. I thought they were fine. They won the game, and Japan was trying to hold on.
Japan was trying to win.
I know, and they almost won.
They didn't almost win. You can't say a team that.
Brazil had their latest winning goal in the history of their World Cup. They didn't win 4-1. If France wins today 4-0, I'll be like, was that impressive? There's no other answer except yes. If France wins in the 95th minute 2-1, I think it's fair to say, I wasn't that impressed. It was a good victory, but I wasn't that impressed.
That is totally fair. But then, and again, I don't want. What do you say?
You were nervous.
I don't want to disagree.
How long were you nervous in that game?
I said it at halftime. I was never nervous once.
You were never nervous in that game?
You weren't nervous down 1-0?
No, I wasn't. I did not think Brazil was going to score 0 goals. I did not think that Brazil was going to all of a sudden not figure out how to score against a team trying to park the bus. But
what about the potential of it going to penalty kicks?
But it wouldn't have. I mean, to me, it was never had a potential to go to penalty kicks because this is the part that I am frustrated with. Had they not scored that final goal, Japan then was going to have to hold on for another 30 minutes.
I didn't think that. It felt like the dam was going to break.
Exactly. And so, you got, and this is what I was trying to say. What do you say? I don't want to be disagreeable, but I disagree.
Yeah.
You got visibly annoyed with me yesterday when I said, I think Brazil's going to win 2-1, and you're going to say you're unimpressed. And you said, I think Brazil's been fine. I just wanted them to score 6 against Haiti, and they didn't.
If they came out in the first half, it was 2-0, and Japan got sort of a garbage time goal. That is a very different 2-1 score than being down 1-0, scoring 1 goal in the second half and 1 goal in the 95th minute.
Okay.
It's still 2-1, correct?
Yeah, yes, of course. I thought you agreed with me that that Brazil thoroughly and utterly dominated the second half.
Yes, I disagreed with Japan's style of play. I think Japan had no chance at winning the World Cup. So, man, just go out there and play. It's not, especially when you see that your defense is not going to hold up.
But that
have
might
a bit,
be why
had
they
one
didn't
shot
get
in the
beat.
second half.
But that might be why they didn't get beat 4-0. That's my point. Like you're kind of
Sure.
having it both ways. Like they played a very defensive style, which made it very difficult for Brazil to win by margin. So like that's it to me, it cuts against each other.
Look, I wasn't impressed either. All right, but I said it during the NBA playoffs, and I say it now. I think it applies to the World Cup too. Win in advance. Win in advance.
That's right.
That's all they did. They advanced. And I thought their coach made a couple of nice substitutions second half. Getting Endrick in there, I think that was a big part of their second half attack. I mean, yeah, they played just so much faster with him. And then Martinelli, who a lot of people, I don't know if they thought that early, but some of the Brazilian fans may have wanted to see Neymar. He goes in there, hadn't lit it up and scores the winning goal.
And at halftime, the commentators were calling for him to bench Casemiro.
Yeah.
And then he left him in, and Casemiro was great. Ancelotti is the most important person on the team other than Vinny.
Brazil awaits the winner of Norway-Ivory Coast, which is today in Dallas. We're going to head to the NBA. Ja Morant's run in Memphis is over. He's headed to Portland in a deal that sends Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray to the Grizzlies. Only played 20 games last year, bro. Put up some career lows in shooting percentage. Do you like this fresh start for Ja and the move for the Blazers?
Well, this was a salary dump for both teams. I mean, Jeremy Grant, Portland been trying to get off his 2 years, $70 million that's left on his contract for a year. The Grizzlies obviously trying to get off Ja, couldn't really find any takers. So here's the thing. For Portland, a couple of months ago, looked like a young team that was building something. Now, I get it. You're in the West. You got San Antonio and OKC right there. That's tough. But they looked like they were building around Denny Avdia. He's going to be our focal point.
Say it, bro.
And Donovan Clingan. And then you got what?
Say it. There's one other young guy they're building around.
Oh, Scoot? Scoot's just on the team. All right.
I really thought he was about to say they're building around Scoot.
For a couple days.
Really
they might be getting moved for all we know.
Sorry,
I'm going to get to that, though. But then you were going to bring Dame Lillard back and Drew Holiday as like veteran leaders that maybe can help establish a culture for the young guys. All right. Now they look like, for all Ja's talent, and I think I'm the one on this show that holds out the most hope for Ja and that hasn't completely written him off and all that. Obviously, he's talented beyond measure, but now they look like a potential powder keg. I mean, maybe not even potential powder keg. They got Ja Morant, Dame Lillard, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, and Drew Holiday in their backcourt. How is that going to work? And then they're short on front court type players.
Can I jump in real quick
we're going to get to the coaching in a second.
I know, but when you say, I just think people might take what you said out of context. When you say powder keg, you're talking about purely in not enough minutes for all these guys to play.
Yeah, which leads to bad attitudes, people being upset. Scoot Henderson's trying to establish himself.
Yes.
And now you're bringing in what it looks like to me is there's a second move coming.
I agree with
and whether it's Sharp and Scoot, as you mentioned, maybe try to get Jaylen Brown for that, but they can, to go into the season like this with all these guys who you could say deserve minutes and are at different points of their career. Dame's coming back to his team. You know he wants to play and should. Drew is still incredibly productive, was your best player in the playoffs maybe. next to Avdia. And then Sharp, they just gave 4 years, $90 million on an extension. And Scoot's trying to establish himself. And Ja is trying to resurrect his career. They're all going to want big minutes. And you have a coach in Micah Nori, who I think can be a good coach, who is on a 1-year prove-it deal. So all these players are going to want to be playing. The coach has no authority because the front office and ownership won't back him. So it's going to be so tough on him to make these decisions. He can make them, and then guys are going to be upset, and they know he has no authority there. So that's what I mean by powder keg. Now, if a second big move is coming, then that'll be great. But right now, a lot of talent. Ja and Dame in the backcourt, maybe years ago you would have been like, oh, that's great. But remember, Avdia had the ball in his hands last year. So he's not going to have that this year.
Correct.
So it's a mismatched roster, to say the least. They got to be doing something else.
No, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to when we're talking about a player who was pantomime throwing grenades into the crowd, I figured it was a powder keg. I wanted to make sure everybody knew.
That wasn't even thinking about that.
I know you weren't. Yeah. My reaction was I feel sick for Memphis fans that this is the way it ends. After year 3 of Ja Morant's career in Memphis, he was coming off being the most improved player, being All-NBA second team, averaging 27 a game. His running mate, Jaren Jackson Jr., won Defensive Player of the Year. They won 56 games, and they threw a real scare into the Golden State Warriors, who would go on to win the title, I believe, that year. And Ja got hurt in the series. You know what I'm not saying they would have won, but still, you don't.
Felt like the future was bright.
They looked like OKC, like
OKC from a couple years ago, absolutely. And since then, since that series, Ja Morant has played 82 games, including the playoffs. Since that offseason, the following offseason, I apologize, not since that series. The next year they won 51 and lost to the Lakers. And since then is when he has played 82 games since then. And that was the offseason where he had the second video of the gun stuff. And that suspension, plus the injuries, plus what I consider to be a shocking decay as a player.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked after that year 3 KW, all he needs to do is add a jump shot. That's going in the other direction. He's one of the worst jump shooters in the league. He's had his worst three-point shooting year in the league. And so
And not getting to the rim like he used to.
Correct. And so I think this is a great spot for him, KW. Like it is, I wasn't joking when I said I think Miami would not be a good place for him. Like Portland, I think, is... You
just mean the city?
The city, yeah. I just mean being a place where...
the spotlight.
Where you're kind of off on your own. There's not as much other things going on. Memphis is on its own as well, but Memphis is, maybe there's a little more...
Good leadership challenge for Dame, too. It's like Ja's not going to be the leader of the team. I assume Drew will go somewhere else.
But I agree with Brew that another trade might be coming.
Darren Fletcher joins us next to talk about Brazil's win. Brazil will have their eyes on this game since they play the winner of Ivory Coast, Norway, which is today at 1 on Fox from Dallas. Stay with us.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Welcome back to First Things First. I love Haaland. If he didn't just sit on the bench for the whole French game, he scored twice in his first 2 games. He didn't play against France.
But you don't love this. You don't love the rowing.
The rowing?
You're over it. It's all right.
You won a little.
Norway lost me when no one played against France.
Yeah. Rightly so.
I loved the rowing. I loved the enthusiasm. I loved the hats with the horns. But I also love watching superstars play and not just rest. up for the Ivory Coast. See if you can get on the board against Ivory Coast today at 1. What are they called?
Viking helmets, I think, but I like
hats with horns to me. Winner of Norway, Ivory Coast will play Brazil after their late victory over Japan yesterday. Some people like Nick are very high on Brazil. Some people take a more measured approach to their prospects, like our next guest, one of the voices of the World Cup on Fox, Darren Fletcher. Darren, thank you for your realistic and measured takes on Team Brazil's chances. We've had to deal with Nick's enthusiasm. We feel like it's gone a little overboard. We appreciate you tamping it down on the broadcast.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I've seen a lot of Brazilian teams going right back to 1982. And I made the point during the broadcast the other night that I think this is probably the worst Brazil team I've seen in a World Cup. The caveat would be that doesn't mean I don't think they could potentially win the World Cup, because they've got the best coach in the tournament. They've got maybe the two best central defenders in the tournament and arguably the best goalkeeper and Vinicius Jr. But I'm thinking about these great Brazilian teams in the past that were all about attacking football. Zico, Socrates, Romario, Ronaldinho, R9. I mean, some great players. This is a different type of Brazil team, and I just don't see that wonderful ability to entertain an attack, which is pretty much the Brazilian hallmark. I was thinking this morning, the New York Yankees can't become Billy Bean's Oakland A's. They've got to be the Bronx Bombers, and Brazil have got to be a certain type of team. So even though they could potentially win it, I just think there's a lot of flaws in this particular Brazilian version.
Love it.
Oh, wow. You see what's happening? Hold on. Do you see what's happening? You, much like my buddy KW, is trying to prime the pump for if and when Brazil does win the World Cup.
1-0.
You can still be like, you know what? Not that impressed. I've seen better. Like, that's what's happening.
Squeaking
here.
out victories.
And so here's, because you laid it out a lot of my rationale, which was, I think that Carlo Ancelotti being the best manager maybe ever, I think the best in this tournament, huge check mark in their favor. And excellent goalkeeper and maybe the best defense in the tournament, or certainly top 3. Huge check mark in their favor. And I think the defense has been shown by the fact they haven't allowed a goal in the tournament against their what I would call set defense. And then who I think is underrated in America's eye in Vinny Jr. because he hasn't performed at the World Cup like the other best players in the world have. How much, given that and what I thought was a dominant 2-1 victory over Japan yesterday, even though the goal line didn't show it, are you starting to believe a little more in Brazil? And then we'll leave you alone on Brazil.
What I would say is, I think in this World Cup, the coach is more important than ever. And I heard you guys talking about the prospects for the US earlier. And I think the fact that Mauricio Pochettino is the head coach of the United States gives you a greater chance in the tournament than you would have had with previous head coaches. And I think the hydration breaks, the match break, whatever you want to call them, that gives a coach like Ancelotti, a coach like Pochettino, the chance to make adjustments. Obviously, in football, there's no such thing as a timeout, so a coach can only do his work in a certain way. But when you've got a situation where you've got the best coach in the tournament and you get a break of 3 minutes with your team, you can make a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments. You can affect the game in a different way. I also think the conditions are very much in Brazil's favour. I think European teams will start to find it difficult the longer the tournament goes, particularly with an extra round, the round of 32. So I think there are a lot of factors in Brazil's favour, and the man on the screen at the moment, I think, is maybe a bigger factor than some of the players that we've spoken about. And yeah, look, there is a scenario where they could win the World Cup, but I just look at France and I look at Argentina, and right now they feel a long way ahead of everybody else in terms of where the tournament actually is. I think everybody else is kind of fighting for that next level, and I'd put Brazil in that level. Having said that, Brazil against Argentina, if they meet in the World Cup, is so unpredictable because the rivalry goes back such a long way. So that would be great to watch. But I just look at the impact of Mbappe and the other 3 attacking players on the French team. I see Messi and the way that entire Argentina team galvanizes itself around that individual player. I just think they're in front of Brazil. So while you can make a case for Carlo, the defenders, the goalkeeper and Vinny maybe being good enough to win the World Cup. I just think everybody's behind the two nations that I've just mentioned.
But you mentioned Mbappe and France plays Sweden this afternoon. What are your, expectations? It sounds like for France to win, but tell us a little bit about that game.
Chris, it's the game that we're going to call later today, Owen and I, so we're really excited about it. We've seen Sweden twice. I saw Sweden play against the Netherlands and concede 5 goals. I then saw Sweden in the next match get a 1-1 draw. 2 brilliant Anthony Elanga goals, by the way, in both of those games. But they're only in this situation because they scored 5 against Tunisia. A lot of people think they shouldn't actually be here because they only got 2 points in qualification, and based on Nations League form, they got themselves into the playoffs. There's a huge chasm between France and Sweden. If Sweden beat the French today, that's going to be one of the big shocks of this tournament because the gap between the nations is vast. I have no idea how the Sweden defence can cope with Desiree Doué, Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe, and Michael Olise. I just don't see it. I can see this being decided heavily in France's favour because I just can't make a case. Even though what we saw yesterday, penalty kicks, shock results, I don't think this is going to be one of them.
So
yeah, I'm with you.
So that's my question. I was a little bit worried about even Team USA, and France is my second team. That could Sweden use a technique like Japan tried, like Paraguay was successful doing, where Germany had the ball for 76% of the time. They had hundreds more passes completed than Paraguay, but Paraguay said, we're going to sit back and hope we get to penalties. You don't think Sweden can execute that strategy?
Kevin, I don't. Simply because when you look at the 4 players, the attacking 4 for France, they're so consistent in terms of taking the chances. If you look at the Germany team, this is not a strong Germany team. And if you look at the way the Netherlands played last night, they didn't try and win the game. So there are factors against those nations. Germany have not been good for a while. I saw you having a conversation earlier and looking at how they've been in World Cups in recent times. For some strange reason, they now don't produce German players. I was speaking to Owen about this morning because he was at Bayern Munich, and he said there was a particular type of German player, a physical player. It fitted the ethos of what a Germany team was going to be in a World Cup, whether that's West Germany or a unified Germany, and they don't build those kind of players anymore. But if you're going to try and use, the statistics that we saw yesterday to try and make a case for Sweden being able to win, this is maybe the deadliest front 4 in the entire competition. You think about the number of goals that Mbappe scores for Real Madrid. You think about the ability for Olise to create and score. Doué has dominated a Champions League final as a teenager, and Dembele's won a Ballon d'Or. These players don't turn up on the big occasion and then somehow fluff their lines and don't get the job done. I mean, this is a clinical football team. This is a football team that once it's scored 1 goal, it wants to score 2 goals. When it gets 2 goals, it wants to score 3 goals. What they want to do is put their foot on your throat and make sure you really know that you've been in a game against these guys. This is going to take one hell of a team to stop them. And I think the only team that I look at in the tournament that's built that way is Argentina, because they're a group. They're a solid unit. They're a team. Everybody sacrifices for each other. So there is a possibility that they could do it. But this is a huge mismatch today between Sweden and France. Make no mistake about that.
Imagine how frustrating it's going to be for France on July 19th in 100-degree New York weather when Brazil is just absolutely holding them to 0 in the World Cup final. Just imagine Carlo Ancelotti wearing a 3-piece suit, not sweating a drip. It's going to be glorious. All right. So I think one of the stories of this tournament has been the continent of Africa and the African teams overperforming, and we saw that continue yesterday with Morocco not just beating the Netherlands, but Morocco, I thought thoroughly outplayed the Netherlands and almost scared the Netherlands into a very conservative game plan. After the game, I thought Thierry Henry and Zlatan Ibrahimovic were unbelievable in, really showing their, for lack of a better term, disgust with the Netherlands not playing what they call Dutch football. What was your takeaway on the Netherlands' approach to the game yesterday? I want to give Morocco credit, but it also felt like the Netherlands almost played into Morocco's hands.
Nick, I agree with what you said a few moments ago, that Brazil result against Morocco will look better the longer the tournament goes. They're a good team, and we shouldn't sleep on Morocco by any stretch of the imagination. Saibari's one of the stars of the World Cup. He's a growing star on the European scene as well, a player that we all enjoy watching. I was so disappointed yesterday from a Netherlands perspective, very similar to Brazil. I've been brought up on great Dutch teams. You go back to Cruyff's team in '74, the team in '78 that got to the final in Argentina. You think about Gullit, Rijkaard, Van Basten, the team that won the Euros in 1988. Some great players, attacking players who get you on the edge of your seat, get you to stand up and applaud in stadiums. It was such a bad game plan yesterday for Ronald Koeman, not giving his team the opportunity to win. And by the way, they should know better than anybody that the Dutch and penalty shootouts mix about as well as oil and water. So that's not a tactic that the Netherlands want to employ. They cannot win penalty shootouts. It's virtually impossible. So I agreed with Zlatan, Thierry, the guys in the studio. They had to be more expansive. They had to try and win the game. And the fact they didn't, I think it was the right result for football, the fact that Morocco went in. But isn't it great? I mean, I was privileged enough to be in the stadium the day that DR Congo got the draw against Ronaldo and Portugal, and to see the faces of the supporters who have sacrificed so much to be there, to see what it meant to them, to see what it meant to the players. I mean, so many great stories in this World Cup. And wouldn't it be great if, come World Cup final day, there's an African nation in the continent so proud?
Speaking of strategy and approach, Darren, Norway, we frowned on Norway not playing their players, particularly Haaland, against France. Are we overreacting? You know, we Americans, like, get out there and play. It's the World Cup.
As a show, we're out on Norway.
Yeah. Did we overreact? I heard some people say that's just their mindset over there. What'd you think about that?
No, we were surprised as well. Owen and I were sat in a restaurant when the team came out, and I couldn't believe, because they could still win the group.
Right.
I mean, if you get the result against France and you win the group, then your pathway to a potential place in the final is obviously easier. I couldn't believe that they'd almost decided, well, we can't win this match, so we're just going to rest everybody and then we'll take whatever route we get, because that's, I think, from the coach to the players, that's the wrong message to send.
Exactly. That's why
You've got to be saying to your team in this tournament, listen, we can beat anybody. We're here to win the whole thing. We've got a guy at the top end of the pitch who's the best in the world in Erling Haaland. So if we can get chances for him, we can score. The fact they didn't do that, I think, sends a really negative message to the entire group. And I'm going to be fascinated to see whether that leaves an impact on them. Because if they were playing Sweden today, then that's a far easier game than the one they've actually got. Yeah. And their pathway to the final now is a lot more difficult. And I think that's a massive own goal by the coach. You just can't do that. I mean, they're playing every 5 days as well, guys. It's not as if you're playing every day. So all of a sudden you've got to be resting.
No, we got to go to Dallas. They complain about the travel.
Yeah, and by the way, even if they beat Ivory Coast, the Norway set themselves up to play that juggernaut Brazil, which nobody wants to do. All right, just very quick before you go, because I said this off the air and on the air. Listen, we have some amazing broadcast duos calling this World Cup. Ian Dark is an all-time legend, along with Landon, obviously John Strong and Stu Holden, who are friends of the show, have done it. I think you and Owen are as good as anybody, and it was really thrilling to hear you guys mention our show during the broadcast. So we thank you for that. You then told us that when you're, over in Europe, you listen to our podcast when you're walking the dog, so you might be familiar with some of our bits. So you've already done a lot for the show. Just a couple ideas quickly.
Is he open to taking these
ideas? Well, he's not going to turn off the Zoom, so just an idea. Similar to Corden getting Mbappe to do the flute.
Yeah.
If, during a game that you're calling, a team is right about to win or maybe make it further than they've ever made it.
First things first.
No. KW.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a name.
I got this. This is for you, though. My God, Owen, Sweden On the doorstep of destiny.
That's not bad.
That's an idea.
No, but I'm a French.
Just an idea. Doorstep of destiny.
I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write this
All right,
down.
doorstep of destiny.
No,
if a team,
France is on the doorstep.
Okay, that's
No,
fine
but
in
if
France.
Sweden-
but I'm
you
just
said what
saying.
about the
I'm
upset?
not saying where it has to be. So doorstep of destiny. If it's a team like going further than they've ever gone.
First things
Just
first.
hold
to start.
on.
Oh, we're about to kick off. First things
can
first.
You please let me. I got
10
one for-
o'clock on FS1.
All right, first things. You could say first things first. That works too. But
What
then
a
also-
wild goal.
Hold on.
Kevin Wilds.
Make me a sandwich.
No, I've got one for you, Brew. I promise. I put a lot of thought into this.
Oh, sorry.
You're ruining it.
Sorry.
If there is a controversial substitution or penalty decision by the referee, say to Owen, I don't like that. I love it. Like the old misdirection. And this one's maybe obvious. If a team similar to Brazil yesterday, like it looks like it's in peril, but it never really was right as the game's ending. I got to tell you, there was never a doubt France would win. Just an idea.
Just
an idea. If you could drop one of those in, just an idea.
Listen, I can promise you, not only will I drop one of those in, I'm going to get all four in.
Today during France, they're all getting in? I don't like it. I love it. Oh, my God.
Love it.
You're the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
This is easy enough. What I need by way of repayment though, Nick, from you. So we're heading to Kansas City on Thursday for Colombia's game against Ghana. So I need great barbecue in Kansas City.
So listen,
the man that can send me somewhere. So where do I go in case?
So you can't go wrong, and everyone's going to tell you Jack Stack. They're going to tell you Joe's Kansas City. Those are all. They're going to tell you Gates. Those are all great options. But if you want an authentic Kansas City barbecue experience, go to Arthur Bryant's in the historic Jazz District, and down the block from Arthur Bryant's is the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame and the Jazz Museum. You can make an afternoon out of it. You can see the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame, the Jazz Museum, Arthur Bryant's, get the burn-ins. It'll be the best afternoon you can spend. Wow. For real. That'll be great.
Excellent.
Superb. You know what I'm going to say to that? I don't like it. I love it.
Fantastic.
You nailed it.
Locked and loaded for today, boys.
Thank you, Darren.
All right, we're counting down to France, Sweden today at 5 from New York. Darren will be on the call. Mbappe will be on the pitch. Dembele looking for his 5th goal. He had the second fastest hat trick in World Cup history. That's in 6 hours and 10 minutes. Listen to Darren on the call. Thank you, Darren.
He's the best.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Afternoon headline sponsored by Hilton. Hilton, it's for the stay. Yesterday, we talked about the elder statesman dream team. Steph, LeBron, Draymond, and AD. Now it's time to talk about Ronnie realism. Windhorse says this all might just be a leverage play. Everyone stays on their current teams, gets paid a little bit more, and doesn't win the championship. That's the last part of my words. More likely, this dream team is a reality, or is this just a leverage play?
Well, I hope it is a reality because it would be so much fun, and they would be a good team. I wouldn't pick them to win the West, but they'd be a top 4 finisher, I believe, and, have a shot if everybody was healthy. The big thing is just the health of those guys. It's hard to believe they would all be healthy for the playoffs. But it does, look, there's AD, Anthony Davis, is 33. So he definitely thinks he's got another long-term max deal in him. And obviously, if he were healthy, he would. But if I'm Washington, there's no way I'm trying to give that up. But Rich Paul is smart. These are all clutch guys, Draymond, LeBron, and AD. They're all great friends. So I'm sure Rich is trying to do whatever he can to get that max deal for AD. Mm-hmm. And so this does give him some leverage at least. LeBron, if he wants to really stay in LA, then this could give him leverage. And if I'm LeBron, as enticing as it is to play with Steph, and if he just does that by himself, that's still fine. But if I go there and leave my family in LA, then I do want Anthony Davis coming with me, because then we have, at least on paper, a legitimate chance. Without that, it's a great time. It's fun. You're a fun, good team, but really no chance of getting to the final. So, they may just be both could be true. If it doesn't work out and we can't get you all to Golden State, it's still leverage in possibly getting you better deals. So both could be true.
Yeah, like the Lakers were ready to offer Austin Reeves $130 million, and then it came out somebody was going to offer him $180, and all of a sudden he got $185. So like that is a thing. If I'm Anthony Davis, I don't know what Anthony was thinking 2 weeks ago about what his next contract should be. But if I see the team I work for give Trae Young 4 years, $212, I'm like, okay, I'm worth.
Right.
I don't care about my injury risk. Like if Trae Young is worth $53 million a year, pencil me in for 54 at the very least. And like that's. And it doesn't seem like the Wizards want to go there. And so that piece of it. And then if I'm LeBron with the Lakers, I don't really want to hear about age and injury risk when I was the last man standing on the team last year. No. When I was the guy the year before that finished 6th in MVP voting, and Austin, who, again, I really like Austin, but Austin has not played his best in the postseason. Right. Luka has played his best in the postseason, wasn't available this postseason. Mm-hmm. LeBron's like, I'm like 210 playoff games in, never missed one. So whatever you think I'm going to be available for the regular season, the playoffs, I've always been available. And if I'm LeBron, because I agree with you, KW, this is the more fun option. If I am LeBron, I am also saying to myself, hey, when we meet with the Lakers, I would like to hear what your plan for contention next year is if I leave. Like, tell me. Because you weren't.
If you leave?
Yeah, like the Lakers, the idea,
just as a
they probably can't contend.
No, okay,
and they may understand that without LeBron, but it's just we're starting in our new direction.
My point is, maybe I phrased that poorly. My point is, for the Lakers to be, hardballing LeBron in negotiation, unless it's a total bluff, it would have to be because we think without you, we still can compete for a championship. Oh. I'd be very interested in how they think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the best free agents available, like actual free agents, are Jonathan Kuminga, Norman Powell, maybe Mitchell Robinson. You don't go down too far on the list before you see Matisse Thybulle, who had trouble getting minutes for the Blazers.
Yeah. Yep.
The other guys are restricted free agents, which you have no control over. Jalen Duren looks like he may be available. We've talked a lot about Walker Kessler, Peyton Watson.
Jalen Duren stuff is interesting to me.
It is, but he's connected more to the Kings than to the Lakers.
Why?
Because they could do a sign and trade with Sabonis. But regardless, my point is, I think the Lakers are playing a bit of a game of chicken in that we don't want to offer LeBron the amount of money we would offer a player that we really need. But for this coming year, we really need him. And you know what I mean? And so, and I'm sure if he leaves and they don't fill it out, they'll explain to everyone, it's fine. Joker 2027 is the plan. Just 3 years of punting on Luka, and then that's the plan.
That has been floating out there.
Yeah. I mean,
it's floating. All it takes is one high
five on Luka's 20s
in an all-star game.
No.
Yeah.
We're counting down to Ivory Coast, Norway. Ivory Coast has scored first in each of their World Cup games this year. Norway rested everyone against France, so they should come out of the gates just firing. They should be ready to go.
Energized.
Well rested and energized from Dallas.
And we're live from the living room as Doug eyes up the match day spread. He's reaching for the Buffalo wing. Perfect. Hang on, what's this? Oh, he's gone for a can of Pepsi too. Incredible. What a finish. Sensational combination. Look at the delight on his face. There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a pack of Pepsi Zero Sugar for today's match. It's poetry in motion.
Live from New York. Show's got the Legos out.
Where's the... Oh, hold on.
Oh, did you see this, Dax? This is
I
how
have
we're
seen
making
that.
calls now.
Is Dax finally going to admit Brazil can win the World
Dax,
Cup?
get a look at it, because sometimes
Hold on. It's on an edge.
It was on one.
It's
it
on
wasn't
an edge. Oh, look. Show me. What does it say, KW? You can't read. You're old. I should have shown
Does it
Dax.
say absolutely not?
It's very likely.
Very likely.
It is what it says.
I did say they can win the World Cup.
Hey, we got all the toys here.
Unstoppably, yes. I didn't even know that was an option.
Time to give credit.
Second hour of First Things First. Today, after a somewhat impressive victory over Japan, can Brazil win it all? Meanwhile, Mbappe and Haaland in action today. They were supposed to be in action last week, but Norway sat everybody. Mbappe said, fine, we'll score all the goals, and Dembele scored all the goals. But will Dembele actually be the brightest star today?
Could be.
But right now, Dax is back in his linen suit, looking just wonderful. Germany's headed home. They lose in penalties despite controlling large swaths of this game, Dax. Your reaction to the historic upset?
Surprising loss, but when you look at Germany, the last couple of World Cups, really kind of on par and on trend with, I think, where they're at right now as a country. When I think of German soccer, when I think of German football, you think about extremely tactically disciplined and highly efficient, both defensively and in the final third. Miroslav Klose, Gerd Müller, Thomas Müller, highly efficient players who didn't need many chances to score goals. And you watched that game against Paraguay, and you thought, okay, you showed the stats, right? The possession, the expected goals, all of that stuff. It doesn't mean anything if you get in and around the box, in and around the goal, and you aren't going to take advantage of that positional dominance. The game was played on Paraguay's terms. Paraguay incredibly comfortable, sitting in a low block, suffering, defending, and taking their chances when they could in transition to go forward. That is their identity. That is how they got through that brutal cauldron of World Cup qualifying in South America. And when it came time to step up and put a lot of pressure on yourself to see who was going to hold their nerve in penalty kicks, absolutely terrible penalty kick shootouts, by the way. Like, plenty of drama, but not high on
A lot
efficiency.
of missing the actual
Tons of
target.
missing the target, tons of nerves. It was Paraguay that held their nerve better than the Germans, which is a complete 180 from what we think of when we think of German soccer. So is it a surprise? A little bit. A lot of people had Germany going through, myself included, but Paraguay fully deserved to win the game.
Can I ask before we, because I know we're going to talk the U.S. side of it quickly, but can I ask a question just about penalty kicks?
Yeah, please.
For the guys like that, in practice, against a goalkeeper, how many, if they were to take 100, how many would they miss the target, and how many would they, get stopped?
I would think the numbers would typically bear out to maybe you would miss the target 5 times and a goalkeeper would save it 8 to 10 times. You should be scoring 80 to 85% of your penalty kicks.
So that's why I'm asking. So it is the delta between that and what we're seeing is truly the nerves of the moment.
Absolutely. We saw 22 penalty kicks yesterday and 10 were missed.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't realize it was that.
I think 5 or 6 straight up missing the target and then a goalkeeper saving them. So I've never taken a penalty kick in a World Cup. I have taken a penalty kick before. There is pressure. You feel pressure. Your heartbeat is beating 1,000,000 miles a minute. And the players, forget if you play in the biggest league in the world, in the Premier League, or if you've played in the Champions League, or if you play in a smaller league, it's still the moment who can slow their heartbeat down the most. I guess the best I can equate it to is a guy in an NBA Finals stepping up to take a must-have free throw, right?
Like
it is.
Wemby missed those ones. Can I have before we go to Team USA, I did have a question about the disallowed goal because we talked about it upstairs. I thought Germany had this game. They were peppering the goal, and it's like, all right, they finally broke through. But on VAR, it was ruled that the goalkeeper was impeded. And Peter Schmeichel, I think, afterwards, or maybe...
It was Schmeichel, yeah.
Schmeichel,
one of the greatest goalkeepers.
Yeah, Schmeichel said he didn't think it was a foul. I think it was, I forgot who, was it Klopp or Klinsmann said that Arsenal wouldn't have won.
Klopp.
Okay, wouldn't have won the Premier League because that was one of their strategies.
He's German, by the way.
Yeah. To sort of impede the goalie or just like be around the goalkeeper.
Sure.
Did you think this was a foul? What did you take
Brew, I don't like it. And in fact, I don't love it. Okay? Sorry.
No, it was great.
Poor delivery.
Well done.
No,
Well
it was great
done.
delivery.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well done.
I don't
We all
like,
can't be the thespians.
I don't like the call, but as I tweeted yesterday, by the letter of the law, if you are going for the literal interpretation of how it is written in terms of protecting the goalkeeper from picks, screens, it was interpreted in the correct way, and the referee got the call correct. I don't like it. I think that goalkeepers are patently overprotected almost constantly.
But you think
the problem here, though,
it did
with this
look like a pick to me.
with this specific play, the problem here with Anton is right before the ball goes over the goalkeeper's head is that his arms are out, and if you are making any contact with the goalkeeper with your arms, maybe either surrounding him, either pushing him, blocking him. I think if he just stood there and he didn't make any movement whatsoever and the goalkeeper just ran into him and fell, I think it should not absolutely unequivocally been called a foul. But because of the arms being out in a deliberate motion to kind of move into the path of the goalkeeper, it's really harsh. But by the interpretation of the law, it is the correct call.
It feels like VAR manipulation to me.
A little bit.
That pre-VAR, you wouldn't have fallen down while the ball is in the air.
Correct.
You're like, I'm going
This
to
is
get
goalkeepers
this.
absolutely taking advantage of the fact that they know that it can go and be reviewed. No question about it.
Reviews make
And it's it is slight embellishment because
I don't
in
like
that
it.
play, if a goalkeeper, by the way, that guy's 6'6", he would never fall down with the contact made. Never.
Good. Brew, do you want to talk Team USA?
You can go ahead. And I just thought this game, Dax, was a reminder.
I saw what you said earlier. You're spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because what was it? They were the fourth biggest favorite to advance. I mean, that's the beauty of soccer, the beauty of football. This game, it doesn't matter how big of a favorite you are. On any given day, when the tactics go perfectly right for one team and the other team is having an off day in front of the goal, any team can beat anyone.
I'll tell you who beat Paraguay. USA 4-1.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. Easy victory, which also means we are better than Germany. Put that on your power rankings. All right, in the early game, Japan had Brazil on the ropes, but the Brazilian squad battled back. Gabriel Martinelli scoring the game winner in the 95th minute.
Dreading this segment.
You've been, I don't know if it's fair to call you a Brazil skeptic.
No, you're the biggest Brazil skeptic.
No, I'm not a Brazil skeptic. I'm not just ready to,
I'm
put
not
them
ready
in
to
the
crown
soccer.
them. We
This
all
team
have
in
to
the
pick-
Soccer Hall of Fame.
We all have to pick a winner. Like I'm not ready to crown anyone. I just think they're the most likely to win. I think France can win. I think Argentina can win. You guys have just been adamant Brazil can't win. That's been the problem.
I think I'm firmly in between you and your skepticism.
I'm following you. I'm not leading.
You are leading.
I'm not leading.
You're the only one who picked them to lose.
They almost lost.
Go ahead.
It's the 95th minute.
I did pick Brazil to win, but what did I say? I thought it would be a very close game. I thought it was actually going to be a game that went to extra time. And if Japan would have gotten out of their own box with 8 players and Brazil's 2, then yes, the game would have gone to extra time. It is finally time, fellas, for me to give Brazil a lot of credit.
A lot.
And I was not enamored with their performance in the first half. I thought you hit the nail on the head with their first half. They started the game well. Japan was very organized defending, and Brazil was a little bit ponderous, a little bit slow in possession. They weren't really creating any real danger to the Japanese. And then when you lose the ball and in transition, that goal is the perfect microcosm of what I saw before the tournament with Brazil and their midfield, specifically defensively, with Casemiro, which is why I still have my concerns about them at the highest level. Sure. Casemiro had a very poor first half. He's one of my favorite players of all time, but that is a player who, as a number 6, just does not have the mobility anymore at his age right now to be able to put out fires. Most defensive midfielders in the world would be able to catch up to that and potentially stop that counterattack. And so Casemiro, he got a needless yellow card, and he could not stop that play. And yet Ancelotti, which he is their X factor, other than Vinny Jr., Ancelotti is the most important person in the Brazilian atmosphere, right? And I think Fletch said it in the interview. You've been adamant about how great of a coach he is, which is spot on. And this is
it just matters more in this World
Cup. It absolutely
matters. You have more
substitutions,
and you have 2 timeouts essentially to discuss
tactically. And so that was the key, is that the 2 biggest tactical adjustments that have come in this World Cup, Ancelotti benching Igor Thiago and putting in Mateus Cunha to really kind of open up that Brazilian attack. Fantastic. And then at halftime, when Paquetá was injured, he did not replace him with a midfielder like for like. He put on another attacker in Endrick because he saw how Japan was defending. He saw how they were playing, and he said, I have to start flooding the box. I need more numbers in the box. I need more players forward to put more pressure on Japan. And Japan, quite frankly, wasn't good enough in the attack to actually relieve any type of pressure. And once you play a team like Brazil, where they gain confidence and they get the goal from Casemiro, which a lot of people thought he should have been subbed at halftime, and Ancelotti sticks with him, he scores the equalizer, subs in Martinelli, and Martinelli gets the game winner. That is going to be the difference with Brazil and their chance to win it, which they absolutely can win it at this point in time. Will they? I still think they aren't on the same level as France and Argentina. But Brazil deserves a ton of credit because I wanted to see them beat a good team. That is a good Japan team.
And listen, if you want to, if the opinion of Brazil is they are the 3rd best team in this tournament, I think that is not only totally legitimate, I think that's probably the smartest opinion. Like France has the best roster.
Yep.
Argentina has almost assuredly the best player. I do think I think they've played better than Spain. I believed in them more than Spain. I also think their draw is better than Spain. So all those reasons. I don't think we've seen we haven't seen Spain play great yet. And the point that I was trying to make earlier that I'll maybe make more delicately here is my pushback on like they could have lost or they were about to lose. If that goal in the 95th minute was to tie the game, then objectively, what you're saying is correct. My point is, had that header gone wide, there was close to no chance Brazil was not going to score in the extra time, and Japan had stopped showing any ability to score. And I think the stats on the game show a game of dominance from one side. Like that, because they weren't, moments from penalty kicks. There were moments from another, basically a third half. And if I don't know if we can show the box score or not. I know we got to move on. But Brazil, the expected goals, that's 7x. Big chances, it's 5-0.
Japanese goalkeeper stood on his head in the second half.
Right, like it would have not been unreasonable for us to be talking about a 4-1 Japan loss. Given if you only take a couple slight adjustments in the second half. And so I'm not going to act like that first half went perfectly. Sure. And when you're down 1-0 in a World Cup game at halftime, you can lose. Ask Germany. They were down 1-0 at halftime and they weren't able to get it back, and they dominated a lot of those similar stats. I just thought that other managers would have panicked. And your point about Casemiro, the broadcast was saying you got to take him off. They didn't, or the halftime show. Like, I just think that is.
I think that's fair. I just am expecting today's game, France-Sweden, to come on tomorrow and answer, were you impressed with France's 3-0 victory?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's dominance. They look like the best.
So can I just
with no caveats,
real quick on that?
Yeah.
One is I don't think Sweden's as good as Japan, but more importantly, I think France's best games are going to look better than Brazil's best games because 3 of Brazil's 4 best players are goalie and defenders. So 0 is 0. No, you know what I mean. No matter what. While France, 4 of their 5 best players might be goal scorers, so they are certainly
They're
more likely.
Brazil's pragmatic.
Yeah, so I just think
that's what you don't like.
I don't like it.
But I agree with you. I think France's best.
I don't love it.
I
don't love it either.
I agree with that.
All right, quickly, we're going to talk about Morocco. They are moving forward after a win over the Netherlands via penalty kicks. Zlatan, post-game, not happy with the Dutch approach. Take a listen.
Dutch school, you learn the way you play football. I was there 3 years, and the only thing I was learning, they were teaching me, was attacking. They're not playing with their identity today, and Koeman looks like an Italian coach today, playing not to lose. When the Dutch team plays, they play to win. You can see the way they're playing. They're not even comfortable. It looks so bad, and it's all on Koeman. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Even if they win, they need to change the approach. They need to play with their identity.
Okay. Harsh words from Zlatan. He was proven right. Did you agree?
Harsh words from Zlatan, but 100% spot on. Could not agree more. I thought it was the best bit of analysis that Zlatan's given us in this World Cup. And the Netherlands scored 10 goals in the group stage. Joint top for after 3 games. They showed attacking impetus. They showed ingenuity. They showed an ability to break down teams with great play through midfield and winger play and Brian Broby in the box. And yet they completely changed their tactical identity to try to stop one player on the opponent. And it was a fullback. And now Hakimi is the best right fullback in the world. There's zero question that a lot of what Morocco does well comes down that right-hand side. Plenty of overloads. They give him the freedom to go forward. He's their best player, their best defender, best chance creator. Literally everything they do goes through him. But imagine being one of those Dutch players in your pregame meeting, and you say, we've just won the group, we scored 10 goals in the group stage, and we've played generally fairly well. And our coach is changing up our entire tactical approach. He's taking out a midfielder and adding another defender just to try to stop one player on the other team. And a very good player at that. Mm-hmm. The seeds of doubt, they're already sown. I'm walking out of that meeting and I'm thinking, okay, so does he not believe we can go toe-to-toe with Morocco? And Morocco, by the way, is a fantastic team. Easily one of the best teams in the world. They've proven it. They are absolutely carrying the torch for all the African teams as well that have performed very well in this World Cup. But Morocco are the standard bearers. If you are the Netherlands and you know that is the case, there are ways that you can adjust around that tactically without completely shedding what got you there in the beginning. You can play a little bit more pragmatic on the left-hand side. You can shift your center backs over to go and help. You can leave Denzel Dumfries, who's one of the best right fullbacks in the world, 1v1 and isolate him to be able to deal with the left side of Morocco. But to completely change your identity is coaching malpractice. And Koeman should absolutely take the brunt of responsibility for this. Morocco was the better team. The soccer gods said, you know what? We are going to let the team that wanted to go and win the game in penalty kicks. That is justice, and I love to see it. I picked the Netherlands to win. My bracket is busted, but at the same time, I am happy that Morocco advanced because soccer won.
You know who's also happy Morocco advanced? Me and Brew, who had Morocco advancing. Soccer sharps over here.
Experts.
Experts. That's right.
Experts.
We are counting down to Mbappe and France. Dembele had the second fastest hat trick in World Cup history. Let's see if he can score early again. But first, here's James Corden with Jude Bellingham.
I'm being deadly serious about this. That there might be a path for you in, like, movies.
I'd love to be in a movie.
Would you?
People always say to me, like, what's the thing you want to do outside of football? And I never really give it that much thought. But when I have, I've always come to, I'd love to be in a film.
Go on, what kind of film?
I'd love to be James Bond. I've watched all of them. I've watched the Connery ones, Roger Moore. I've seen all of them. I love James Bond. I swear I'd love to be, you know, in the back of a James Bond film. Or,
well, I think
James Bond
be in the back.
Yeah, no.
Be in the back.
You got to walk.
No, full Bond.
You got to crawl.
Well, I think they haven't found a new Bond yet.
They haven't, have they?
So I'm saying let's treat this like an audition. So right, look straight down this camera here. Right, look down, look up, and give us your best. The name's Bond, James Bond.
Ready?
Okay, go on.
The name's Bond, James Bond.
Do you know what though?
I've got a shot.
It's all right.
I think I've got a shot.
But I think maybe let's show some range. So let's do a little scene, the two of us, okay? So you say you want answers, and I say I think I'm entitled to them. Ready? Go.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to them.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can handle the truth!
Okay, give it a bit more. Really, really put you back into it. Okay, ready? Think you're Jack Nicholson. You're on the stand. Hang on, I'm going to be Tom Cruise. I'm going to be Tom Cruise. Okay.
A Bond. Ready?
Okay, go.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can handle the truth!
Dude, just...
Tonight at 9 from Mexico City, Mexico, Ecuador. Ecuador not afraid of a draw. Last 22 matches, 9 wins, 12 draws, only 1 loss. So we might see another game go to penalties tonight. That is at 9 hours, 30 minutes, and 17 seconds. It'll be great. Head to the NBA, where Malik Beasley,
in the federal courthouse,
was one of several people indicted on charges related to sports gambling.
Ed Davis.
The indictment cites this game we're showing where Beasley grabbed his 4th rebound in the last second of the game when the line on his rebounds was 3.5, so he got over on that.
Yeah.
Also, this curious video, him sprinting down to catch a dunk in the waning seconds of a game to affect the point spread. He's accused of losing millions of dollars during his career, Brew. Your reaction to this latest gambling news?
Well, you said it, the latest. It's getting worse and worse. And gambling has become so commonplace in our culture now, in large part because of the leagues getting in bed with the the sports betting companies. And in fairness to them, they've only done it because the Supreme Court, changed the law to allow it in 2018. But it's so commonplace now that it's going to be hard, it's basically impossible to keep it from touching the players. And so a player, because in Beasley's case, and like many of the others, he was in debt because he had lost gambling bets. And so he was coerced into, throwing games or whatever you want to call it, shaving points or however you want to
impacting his performance for his individual player props.
Right. And then that, of course, puts in jeopardy the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy. You can't bet on your own league games, right? But if a player gets in debt betting on other games from another league, another sport, then this can happen. The temptation for you to do something you think is minor, right? Just don't get 4 rebounds or don't whatever. The temptation to do that and pay off your debt is huge. And so it's no coincidence that up until 2018, it was rare to see a point shaving scandal. You saw them, but they were rare.
And it was almost exclusively college sports.
Yeah.
And
you had Pete Rose, that's why that was so big.
And these individual player props didn't really exist.
Right.
Certainly not in the mainstream way prior to legalized sports gambling.
Right.
Like you couldn't, if you walked up to even where gambling were legal and like, hey, I'd like to put $20,000 on a role player's rebounds, they would laugh you out of the sports book.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't a thing you could do. But go ahead.
I'm about finishing. To me, it just seems like it's clear what the right thing to do is. Because now, since 2018, it feels like every couple months we're seeing this type of thing. But greed on the part of leagues and the money that can be made is stopping them from doing the right thing.
My reaction, and we discussed putting this in the show, where to put it in the show, how we want to do it, because it's kind of last year's news, kind of tied to some of the other gambling stories, and I was debating it, I'm like, man, when I was growing up, gambling was a catastrophe.
Right.
And I have seen it recently move from a catastrophe to a crisis to a scandal to maybe an incident, to even with Brandon Sorsby now, it's like, basically a misstep.
Yeah.
When we were growing up in 1989, 2 things happened that really, I guess, formed my sports brain. Pete Rose was on the cover of Sports Illustrated 1 out of every 20 episodes I did, or issues. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The sports world stopped down. This is Pete Rose in the course of 1 year, his whole gambling scandal. Also, 1989, Field of Dreams came out. And the crux story of Field of Dreams was the Black Sox scandal. And I was like, holy cow. And they're from 1919 to right now, we're living in it. 2 things have happened in the course of 70 years. Wow. It was the Black Sox scandal and Pete Rose.
CCNY college basketball here in New York threw a title in the 50s.
But a little
things. 50s that my grandfather would reference to me growing up.
Remember, there was a handful of UNLV players in the hot tub. Yeah. Like, holy cow, is that the Black Sox scandal? Like, not quite. And Bartlett Giamatti, in his statement, Nick, when he's talking about investigating Pete Rose, he said, baseball had never before undertaken such a process because there had not been such grave allegations since the time of Landis, which was in the teens. And I was like, wow, these are such grave allegations. And now I haven't written a lead VO about a gambling since Brendan Sorsby last week.
Yeah.
So, and I'll toss it to you. I think we're in this funky time where you see, and it's not totally different than a lot of vices, and I don't want to get over my skis, I'm not a sociologist, where a lot of these stories are being put in the personal responsibility bucket, where maybe they should come out of the personal responsibility bucket and put into the societal ills bucket. And what responsibility do we all have to wrap our heads around this? And again, I don't know if it's legislation, I don't know if it's a general attitude, but it's not just, these guys are also victims. Like you said, they're not, they're the culprits and the victims.
It seemed like Malik Beasley was being, for lack of a better term, there's more crass language, but I'll say used by Ed Davis. And all right, so I have 2 points to make, but the disclosure on the front end from me is I am, and everybody knows this obviously, a lifelong gambler. Like it's been long enough. My dad doesn't necessarily love when I reference.
I had $100 on you starting like that.
Yeah, I mean, good job. My grandfather taught me to play cards when I was 7. My dad, before he became a fireman, was, I think I can call it a professional gambler. It's how I came up. It is in my blood, as literally as it can be. I'm not moralizing on it, and maybe good podcast is a longer form discussion on it. For years, people, when they find out what I do, especially because I play a lot of cards, all card players think games are fixed. It's like, the fix is in because they lost a bet. And what I've always said is, maybe some college games, because kids can, $5,000, $10,000 can mean a lot to these guys, particularly pre-NIL. So you don't really have to worry about it in pro sports. And when I saw this story, I read the full indictment. Like Brew listens to press conferences, I read gambling indictments, and I scroll for names, and I do the whole thing. One of the things in this was Malik Beasley texting Ed Davis, I hope to have that $2,000 for you by the end of the month. Malik Beasley was, the year he was doing this was on I think a $12 million contract, or it had just ended.
Like 60
He's made like
over
60.
his career, yeah.
And for the same reason why anybody who's ever had a job where they handle money and there's a big credit check, what they're checking is, are you in financial trouble to where we don't trust you to just drop off the restaurant's deposits at the end of the day or whatever. If pro athletes, and the easiest way to lose millions of dollars, if it's not bad real estate deals or having stolen from you, is high stakes gambling, which doesn't have to be sports betting. A lot of this is, and this gets to my second point, guys who hang out at the casino, bet big money, and then meet these other guys. So I just want to put out there as almost, because I'm not moralizing on it, but I would like to give good advice to pro athletes. First of all, the people involved in this are total dopes, thinking they wouldn't get caught. One guy bet 20 grand on Beasley's rebounding under. Another guy, maybe the same guy, bet a $25,000 parlay on Beasley's points and rebounds. You're getting flagged immediately. You're getting caught. You're working with guys that don't understand it. But the other thing is the names of the other indicted people. One of them is Rob Gordotsky. I'm not certain it's the same Rob Gordotsky, but 10 years ago, USA Today did a long profile on a guy named Rob Gordotsky, who's a professional sports bettor and was winning millions of dollars, and it was friends with Odell Beckham and friends with Damon Jones and living at the casinos. And anybody who spent time at the Aria 10 years ago knew Big Rob. And then 4 years later, it turned out he had just embezzled a bunch of money, and that's what he was betting with, and he went to jail for 3 years, and now Rob Gordotsky from the same state, appears to be the same guy, is involved in this. The other person named in this is Ernesto Plasencia, who is in the indictment saying his utility was he's friends with a lot of pro athletes. Again, I don't know if you guys watched the starting five, but in the starting five, the person being interviewed as Jimmy Butler's dear friend is a guy named Ernesto Plasencia. And so I say that to say this. As much money as a lot of these pro athletes have, they show up in gambling environments, and very often they are the mark. Take this $50,000. Don't worry about it. Take it. All they want is for you to owe them money. And then they can try to then go make a bunch more. Mm-hmm. And so that's these are not, new characters in the gambling world. The new character's the pro athlete. The other folks you've seen around. And so you're going to get caught because you can't bet real money on these individual player props and not have it flag.
So not to extend it too much, but do you buy into sunshine is the best disinfectant?
I buy into that. It is absolutely true that because it is legal, it gets flagged. The conflict is because it is legal, bets exist that otherwise didn't. Yeah. So you are more likely to find out about a fixed game now than you were in the past, but you are exponentially more likely to have guys be able to do things that they can morally wrap their mind around that isn't fixing a game. It's just, I'm just not going to get a rebound.
Just going to grabbing an extra rebound.
Or I'm going to try even harder, get an extra rebound. And those bets didn't exist on a high level across the board.
All right, we're headed back to the World Cup. We're getting closer to Norway, Ivory Coast, live from Dallas. We're in 1 hour and 18 minutes. There's Haaland. Haaland is one of my favorite players. Do you think this is his last game, bro?
You do.
Unfortunately, yeah, I've got Ivory Coast. I've got Ivory Coast winning this one. And I've been hot. Mexico City tonight. Mexico, Ecuador. Mexico has played 9 World Cup games at Estadio Azteca. Never lost. 7 wins, 2 draws. But you've got a small upset alert here.
Does that change? Got a little upset alert here.
Wow. This would be
big upset.
Nobody would be happier about that than England. For real.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, England is not. Either way, England's got to play their round of 16 game in that stadium. They don't want it to be against Mexico.
If Mexico goes forward, then then we should go forward.
Yeah, of course.
Every home host. Top performance presented by Capital One. Capital One, what's in your wallet? 2 games on today's slate outside of Mexico, Ecuador, Ivory Coast, Norway today at 1. Followed by France, Sweden today at 5. Mbappe and Haaland both expected to find the back of the net. Which superstar has the most impressive game? Dax, what do you think?
Well, I would expect both Mbappe and Haaland to score because Mbappe, he let Dembele get his hat trick last game, still challenging for the Golden Boot. But Haaland, not only do I expect him to score, I expect him to be the Energizer Bunny out there. Well rested. He better not stop running. All right. He didn't play the third group stage game, so I expect him to be ready to go. But Haaland has the more difficult task. Make no mistake about it. Ivory Coast has been fantastic defensively throughout this tournament. In the 3 group stage games, they've only conceded 2 goals. Their center backs are extremely mobile. They're big guys. I think they will be absolutely locked in on trying to frustrate Haaland, trying to play physical with him. I still think he gets on the score sheet, but I, like you, KW, we're kind of tethered here at the hip with Ivory Coast upsetting Norway. But Sweden, 7 goals conceded in the group stage, just generally a little bit more loose defensively. Sweden, a very good attacking trio with Isak, Gyökeres, and Anthony Elanga. I do not think they will be able to live with all of France's attacking options, and I think it is absolutely a game where Mbappe not only scores 1, I think there's a decent chance that he scores a brace again in this tournament, and I think France wins that game by multiple goals.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mbappe. You mentioned earlier that Sweden had given up 5 goals in a game. He didn't score last game, and so I'm sure he's dying to get.
He's due.
Yeah, he's very due. And you mentioned this the other day, Nick. Of his 16 World Cup goals, which is now tied for second all time, 8 of them have come in the knockout stages. So
big game player.
Yeah, I think he's going to be huge.
Listen, he's an all-time great World Cup performer. Like, what's interesting about France is I think there are a fair amount of people who, in general, don't think he's the best player on the team as far as individual. I mean, the reigning Ballon d'Or winner.
You can make an argument for the other 2 or 3 other attackers.
Right, but that's as far as, in my opinion, where you rank them over the course of a season with their club teams.
Correct.
But come the World Cup, there's no question he's the best player on the team because he's just been unbelievable in this tournament since he was 18 years old. Or however,
won the World Cup at 18.
Yeah, 18 years old. Haaland, on the other hand, has a different level of responsibility because he is the Netherlands offense. I'm not sorry.
No.
His name is Haaland. He is not from Holland. He is.
I understand the confusion.
He is Norway's offense. So there's a scenario where France looks as good as you think they're going to look, and Mbappe doesn't score.
Well, sure.
That exists. I want to just kind of pivot it just a tiny bit to if you guys are right about Ivory Coast pulling off the upset. It wouldn't be a huge upset, but it would be an upset. And I do think that we are approaching the sample size getting big enough to say, okay, the odds makers, the FIFA World Rankings, all of it, have undersold the African teams by a bit. Like when 9 of the 10 advance, when we just saw Morocco beat one of the tournament, kind of sub-favorites, if now we have another team in Ivory Coast that is considered, again, not like some huge Cinderella, but a tick beneath Norway, with Norway fully rested, all of it, if they then beat them, I just think that should impact how we talk about this tournament moving forward and about, who has a shot to pull off an upset and what an upset truly is. I tend to agree with you guys as far as we all think France is going to win, and I tend to agree with you guys on Ivory Coast. If Norway's going to win, I think Haaland has to have the brace you're talking about Mbappe having.
I know we've been hammering this point, but France and Norway is the final group stage game. They approached it in totally different ways.
Yeah.
France played everybody. Dembele was playing totally fine. He had a goal and an assist. He ends up having a hat trick in the first half. Norway rested everybody. How do you think those two different sort of strategies leading up into the knockout stage show up in today?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a psychological element to it. You actually, by what Norway did, by resting your best team, your starters, there's actually more pressure now on you to go and beat the Ivory Coast. Right. You have actually invited more pressure on yourselves rather than playing your starters against France, trying to go toe-to-toe with them from the beginning, prove that you not only can go toe-to-toe with the quote-unquote best team in the tournament, but that you could potentially win the group and potentially make your path a little bit more friendly. So there's no question that there's way more pressure now on Norway because of how they approached that last group stage game. And France, they're going to put their best team on the field no matter what. Darren Fletcher said you have 5-6 games in between each game. I don't think, unless you are talking about the U.S. men's national team who already had the group wrapped up, or resting a Tim Ream or a Cristiano hasn't rested, but a Messi or whatever, you should not be resting your players, especially when you have the chance to win the group.